and welcome. Joyful Monday. It's Monday, so here we are. I am Joy Ruffin, and my work with you is as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist speaker, and yes, it goes on and on and on. But today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, and it's aligned with my featured guest, which I'll be bringing up a little bit later. We're going to be talking about what is divine femininity, and does yours have balance? Friends, working with women all over the world and predominantly here in the States, I find that most of us, it's time for us to reinvent, reprogram, and reintroduce ourselves to what divine femininity and our presence and our style, our signature style, dress style is all about, because we're in a casual mode. So I'm just celebrating the divine femininity. You know, there's certain words that are buzzwords: soul, divine, empower, and it goes on and on and on. But for me, and I bet for you as well, it has a lot of significance. So what do we mean when we talk about the divine femininity? Because when we are celebrating the divine feminine, you will know the true beauty of life, yours. And that was said by a very famous Indian, I don't like to say psychologist or philosopher, Sadhguru, I think he pronounces. I really don't know. Sadhguru. By the way, I'm looking for a good teleprompter. If anybody has some good suggestions, send them my way. Because feminine power isn't something we go out and acquire. It's already within us. Our assignment is to awaken it, because it's something we become willing to experience within us and to see, to know, and to feel. You know who said that? Most everyone knows her, Marianne Williamson. I just think it's spot on. Because today, my friends, and by the way, I always preference this, not a sexist here, and none of the women that I work with or men, we believe in true power, equality, and that's what we're all about. So when we talk about divine femininity, we're talking about the divine masculine as well, because each of us, it's just about gender, masculine, feminine. We both, the male and the female, we have both. So that's what we're about, and how we showcase and how we show up. It's time for women, because men have always had the power. Not that it's always been spot on. Not knocking it, not blaming it, because we have to take some of that responsibility. But the bottom line is, men of equality respect women's equality. That's just a given. And if we are into our true divine power and the equality of knowing who we are, we don't settle. We just don't. And now more than ever is that time for us to awake. And that's why I'm so happy to have this featured guest speaker today, because we're going to talk a lot about something that all of us, men and women, are about. And her title is Exceptionally You. I'm going to bring her up in just a second. But I want you to know that the balance of power, love that word, balance. The balance of power is a scale of peace. You know the scale, the balance? Well, that's what we're about now, because it's been very not balanced. No blame, no bashing, no blasting, either male or female. But change, pivot, transformation, it's in the air. And hopefully you're feeling it. You're awakening to it. You know that it's time. I'm always fussing with my ears because I have these earrings. They're always falling off. But the bottom line is that power, equality, the way that you obtain it is through finding the balance within yourself, so that you know how to be the best of the best of you. Here are terms that are just thrown out left and right, but I think very few of us were able to really embrace and embody the true essence of what that means. So friends, what I want you to do, what I'm inviting you to do, is just sit back and relax and enjoy yourself as I get ready after my short reset to bring up my featured guest speaker. But before I do that, here's something else I want to leave you with. A woman who embraces her femininity is a woman who knows her power, her true femininity, true, genuine, real, not the facade, not the fake. That's over. The pseudo, gone. until we, and it's our responsibility, all of us in leadership, no matter what type of leadership it is, leadership is leadership. It's time to embrace that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because we're going to talk about a lot of the things that are my first love. And I'm willing to bet yours as well. And that's young people, not because I'm a happy senior, but because we need each other. And until we recognize that and embrace the who we really are, and as a friend that I met earlier today said, and reset our thinking and the programming and conditioning and the sexualizing that we've been under, that's not going to change. It's up to us to change it. That's why I'm saying that the work that we do here is more like a movement. So I want to ask you, invite you to join us in my favorite group of all. Not because it's mine. Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. This is a group that's a community that we're slowly building, and we want you to come and to share your vision, your mission, and your purpose, because the time is now and it matters. The time was always now, but now the awakening is here, and there's no way to get around it because it's meant for everybody. You hear me say all the time, and I just spoke to some fabulous people in the past week or so about, no matter how you slice and dice and splice it up, it's the same. Know thyself. Know who you are. Find ways to unlock your magic. And everybody has a different school of thought. You find ones that work for you. For me, it's several, because this insatiable curiosity just goes on and on and on. But get your gift and explore it and see if it's for you. And if not, there are others. But the key and the secret magic ingredient that you're looking for is for you to find it for you. And now I want to present just the graphic, and I wanted to stay up for just a second, of my featured guest speaker, because this is what we're going to be talking about. She is a part of a community that I'm a part of as well, but I want you to meet, she calls herself Coach Elizabeth. I'll introduce her later, but take a screenshot, take a snapshot, because this is what she wants you to be a part of, and so do I. But you're invited to do your own research, do your own investigating, and see if this is something for you. Now, friends, I'd like to give you a brief, and believe me, it will be brief, synopsis about my featured guest speaker today. Her name is Elizabeth Ellison. She lived primarily on the West Coast, but she spent a lot of time in Biloxi, Mississippi, which is where my parents, especially my mother, I should say, was born and raised. So I know a lot about the Deep South. But her journey to the work that she's doing today, tumultuous. But she had so many challenges that she overcame because she met and engaged with a lot of mentors, a lot of tutors, a lot of guides who supported her in her own development and discovery of self. So in the process of all of this magic in her life, and a lot of it was not so much fun, she earned a bachelor's degree in psychology and will be celebrating 32 years of sobriety. I just want you to sit back and relax, whatever it means to you, and help me welcome Elizabeth Ellison, our featured guest speaker. Elizabeth, so nice to have you here.
It's such a pleasure to be anywhere with you, Joy. Thank you so very much. You are amazing.
Just butter up my ego. I love it. I love it. Thank God I have balance in my life. But Elizabeth, you're here because the work that you and your sister friend, we'll talk about a wee bit later, Dr. Monica, you're doing such great work. And you are all about the empowerment of other people, as I am in a different way. So I want you to tell me a little bit about what is Exceptionally You Academy and how did it form? What is it about? Share with us some, because I love the title, because it is all about Exceptionally You. And I love the word academy because it's a school. So share with us a little bit about that, and welcome. So great to have you here.
Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. I feel so very blessed to be in front of your audience. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I love our topic, but Exceptionally You Academy is a balloon of the compilation. Dr. Monica and I have been working for the last 5 years doing coaching and consulting specific to Have You Met You, which is the spearhead of our academy. So much in life, we work, Dr. Monica and I met, and actually bring that the academy up, I have to tell you a little bit about her. We met in a behavioral health hospital in San Diego, one of the largest communities for giving recovery to people in their addictions, obsessions, compulsions, anything in their life that caused a disruption. I actually ended up on the other side as well in the ICU, and that is a whole nother episode of its own. But what we've done, because she and I have over 60 years of this work, we've figured out that if we're going to serve everyone, we need to bring in collaborators and other coaches and consultants. If we're going to bring people to their full wholeness, we need to have a tribe, and they will be in underneath the academy. And we found the perfect platform on the Great Discovery to put that. They too are putting in channels and academies and free courses and translation of over 147 languages now.
Elizabeth. Oh my goodness. This is so exciting for me. I never stop, and I hope no one does, learning and loving the process of learning. I never heard of the Heroes Health Hospital. Love that name. Just like I love Have You Met You, which we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about. And I like that you and Dr. Monica formed, which she's going to be a featured guest speaker at the end of November. You formed this Exceptionally You Academy. But share with us, Elizabeth, please, a wee bit more about what is it that you're doing. And I love when you said if you wanted to respond or connect or relate to everyone. First off, a qualifier, never ever have to be right, but we never ever connect to everyone. But the group that you need or want to connect to, that's what your Exceptionally You Academy is about. Would I be off base on that or somewhat on point?
A little bit of both. And I apologize if you heard Heroes. It was actually Sharp Hospital. But
okay.
Yes. And okay, so everybody does have, now some people have already connected. So you're right. The people who have already connected and are living their full life purpose and never have those moments of, gosh, I just don't feel like I'm doing everything I can do. There's always a nagging something that there's something more you aren't tapped into, and you just can't put your finger on it. Those are the kind of things that cause people to drink and use and overeat, like sit there in front of the TV eating ice cream all night. I used to be that person. Instead of tapping into your true aligned purpose when you were a child. And Joy and I talked about this in great length one Sunday, and about what it's like to be told when you're a child, no, you can't do that. You're a boy. No, you can't do that. You're a girl. Or no, you can't do that. You've never been that smart, or whatever it was that made you veer away from what you knew about you when you were a child and an infant and growing up, and your environment somehow disconnected you from that.
I love that. I love that because the way that you describe that, most everyone has somewhat of that in their DNA, in their background, their upbringing. And so the work that you're doing is to get people like that, again, most of us, many of us, into wholeness, into that knowing who you are. And we all have so many different ways of going about it. And that's why I love the Exceptionally You, because everyone, in my humble opinion, is exceptional, is extraordinary, is especially gifted in some way or in one way or another. So I have received that. Now, you are starting, or maybe you started, share with us a little bit about your podcast and what you and Dr. Monica are going to be doing on that podcast, because the Academy and the Exceptionally You and Have You Met, I just love. I'm going to ask you and Dr. Monica if I can use that, because I love that expression. Have you met you? Because it's a loaded question, and most people have to be honest and have to say, think about it. So tell us a little bit about the podcast and what you'll be doing there.
Well, and I believe one of the reasons both you and I love the Great Discovery is because there's no competition. So yes, please, anything that you know you can use to help further your mission and vision, please, there's not enough of this, and there's so many billions of people in the world. I don't think I'm going to be able to reach them all. It is my goal, but I'd be expecting too much of the universe. So yes, I and if you want to redirect me to your question.
No, it's okay, because you just said something that I want to piggyback on, because
Okay.
what I love about the Great Discovery, and this is what was a hard lesson for me to acknowledge, embrace, and accept, because even though I do love and will become a great part of the Great Discovery, that the beauty of it is that they promote you. But the art and the science and the magic of it is that we have to promote ourselves first, and then get other people to be ignited and excited and interested in what we're doing, so they want to promote what you're doing, because there's an incentive there for them to do that. But we have to be the person who instills that in others. So that's what I wanted to speak to. And the other question that I asked you before that was, tell us a little bit about your podcast that you and Monica will be doing.
I'm so sorry. We came off a 48-hour global simulcast in 41 languages. So
I know.
It was great. And I actually got to coach our CEO a little bit on the very topic we're talking about. So our podcast is Home is Where the Biz Is. And it came to us because everything starts at home and everything ends at home. Because when we're coaching and consulting people in mental and behavioral health, our main goal is to, as quickly as possible, take them out of their crisis mode or traumatic, post-traumatic stress and all that, and bring them back down to where their origin is, and then not only coach them, but also the people at home. Because if you send them back into that environment, then they're not going to be able to receive what we gave them to take home to work with. And we get a lot of people relapsing and coming back in, and that's exactly what they say to us. So we want to bring coaching and consulting. That's why we're interviewing you and, so many other people, from all walks of life, in order to glean their experiences of how they overcame things, so you all can hear it too. And break stigma that, only nobody has felt this but me. Because that's one of the things we do so much, is somehow we get ourselves trapped in, this is only happening to me. And that's where a big source of depression comes from.
Oh my goodness. You know what, being a connector, and you are as well, Elizabeth, I have someone that you must meet. I just met them, but I met them a few days ago, but I know this will be a good connection for you. But I want to speak to you and Dr. Monica come up with the best taglines. Have you met you?
Yeah.
Home is where the heart, where the biz is. Yeah. And I'd like to add to that home is where the heart is, because that's where your passion is.
And we were actually struggling between those two.
Well, they're connected, aren't they? They really are. Because once you find that passion and what's innately yours and special for you and within you, that's where it is. That's where the biz is.
But if you recall, we took the biz is, because we did that when we were doing the Careers from Home Network channel.
Whew, I love it. I love it. I love it. I just think that the work that you're doing is great. Before we go on, and I want you to share with us a little bit about, again, more of your connection with Dr. Monica, who will be a guest soon.
On November 27th.
Yes, you know me very well. The importance of allowing young girls to be themselves today. Now, most is never everyone. Most, many, and some have heard my story. As a young girl, I almost became a very serious juvenile delinquent. But like you, Elizabeth, I met so many gifted, beautiful people who were my mentors and guides and messengers. So that didn't happen for me. But now I volunteer with these young, almost juvenile delinquent. Well, they are dealing girls. And let me tell you, the issues that they deal with today was nothing like what I dealt with back in my era. So tell us a little bit about this work and the importance of the work that you're doing with our young girls today.
Well, part of the work is born from the fact that I watched my brother actually get taken into a gang, excuse me, and back then it was a motorcycle gang. And he spent almost his whole teenage in juvenile hall. He doesn't even know what it's like to be a teenager free. And so he now is a social worker working with young youth, and it's his dream job. He became a social worker instead of ending up in prison the rest of his life, thank Lord. But
Yes.
part of what happened when he and I discussed things, we realized how much we were stopped from being the youth we wanted to be. At 13, I started dealing drugs because I left home, and people wouldn't let me babysit their kids if I was not living at home. And so that's back then in the early
Yes,
70s. That's what people did. So that's what a parent gave me to do. That was her solution. And it was just marijuana, but at the same time, there is no just.
No, no.
It
Ooh.
Yeah, because it streamed a whole series of stuff. Thank goodness, though, I had a sense of who I really was. I was allowed to be what they termed a tomboy because I did things the guys did. So I just, I didn't let people tell me you can't do that because you're a girl. I just didn't. My mom didn't either. Um, she was very tomboyish, and so she promoted that. My grandma promoted that, and the thing is one of the things I've learned, and one of the things I'd like to offer people is
Yes.
if you even look at the history of female divinity and male divinity,
Yes.
they try to put a category on what the female essence is and what the male essence is, which is fine because there are strengths on each side. But at the
Yes.
same time, the wiser uh,
Yes.
cultures
Awakening.
understood that we all have in our DNA the same divineness, the
Yes.
same amount of the different qualities, the same amount of existing is in all of us. You can tap into any one of them anytime. And that's why in a lot of the other cultures, they have, like in the Native American cultures, it's called 7 or 9 or 11 feathers. And
Yes.
if you notice behind me, I'm 28% Native.
Me
I
too.
have my feathers. But the thing is if you think about it, okay, so I'm going to tap in real quick to some definitions that were thrown at me. That the goddess energy, which would be the female energy, is intuition, nurturing. Let's see if I get it. Creativity, emotional intelligence, birthing, uh, which is the one thing that we do, but birthing ideas is something we all do. So for the male side, a lot of it was strength, action, rationality, integrity, emotional endurance. So we have the emotional intelligence. Men are supposed to have the emotional endurance, but we can all exemplify those characteristics. You're allowed to tap into whatever. You're allowed, you know what? I still have my little things. I've always loved the dinosaurs. But when I was a little girl, I was expected to play with Barbie. Barbie came out when I was a little girl. Barbie and then Skipper. Remember that?
Allow me to interject for just a second here because
Yes.
I love the information you're sharing and the way that you share that warmed the cockles of my heartstrings because it's not about masculine or feminine because both are divine. It's about the gender and there's a balance between the two. And the way that you explain between the female gender energy and the male and how we can incorporate both and align with both. It doesn't have to be one or the other and the outstanding way. That's beautiful because that's what we are here now to come to the acceptance and because now it's about gender and now the genders, you mentioned that word tomboy. I mean, that's a word that's not used today because it really doesn't apply today because of all the ways that we look upon gender. So thank you for that description. That was absolutely beautiful the way that you described that. How did you come to that? I mean, all these years of study, did that the goddess, the masculine, the nurturing, the endurance, the healing, that's beautifully packaged the way that you presented that.
I was blessed. We may not have been rich and we didn't always have a lot. And sometimes we were sharing hot dogs and cottage cheese or slice of bologna and a little bit of yogurt or something. I grew up in a large family. I also was blessed to have a grandfather who taught us. He was ahead of his time and he studied all cultures. And my grandma didn't like it because she was a staunch Protestant and we were supposed to only know Jesus. So he would take us in the back office, or when she would go golfing with her female friends, he'd sit us down in the living room and he'd do meditation with us and we'd do touch therapy with each other. And he'd talk to us about the different cultures. But he'd go, but don't tell your grandma. So, and she was goofy golfing Granny Goose. So there was a lot of character, and she had polio when she was younger.
Oh dear.
And we grew up, she grew, so she was a tough bird. They threw her into the Puget Sound, rain, sleet, snow, ice, so that she could be strong enough to, when she healed, overcame it. So she didn't let us not be tough.
You have so many beautiful stories, and I didn't know. I'm so glad to hear that you are because Native American Indian is part of my DNA as well. But anyway, let's talk.
But I do want to say something really quick that I really want to say about body image for our young ladies.
Yes.
Okay, so I grew up in an era where they were starting to put on TV people, and they started over sexualizing women.
Yes.
Very much. And our boobs had to be big and our waist had to be small and our hips and butt had to be curvy, and you had to have shapely legs or you weren't desirable.
Well, I know where you're going with that, and thank you for that. But I want, and I get it.
I just want to say, no.
That's
one of the best things I've ever learned I'm 66 years. Okay. So I have 6.5 decades of watching men and women or women and women or men and men fall in love. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
And when women think, I have to interject here. Women think that it's all about this exterior, and it is, but it's how you treat that guy, because you see men and women together and you wonder, but it's not for you to wonder because that's their chemistry. I know where you're going with that, Elizabeth.
Yeah, it's not, well, it's how they treat each other. It's how they combine and mesh is all that matters.
And men can condone and forgive a lot of stuff more so than we can. Tell us a little bit more about how you connected with Dr. Monica, and you call it Two Sisters by Choice. I love that because time flies here. And I want my engineer to put up your poster, your graphic, because I want people to connect with you in that regard. But because we both belong to the Great Discovery, but all that information is there. So while you're telling us a little bit about Dr. Monica and Two Sisters by Choice, I want my engineer to put up your poster. So share with us.
Okay, so Dr. Monica and I, funny enough, if you look, she's more into the fashion and all that at first. So she learned that I too am that. But in her mind's eye, at first, she didn't, when we met at the hospital working together, we kind of looked at each other and went, okay, and we didn't think much of each other. Just like sometimes someone will look at you and they'll think that, but the bottom line is that we started working together. We started seeing each other's qualities. We started respecting each other. We allowed ourselves not to allow a first impression, but we allowed ourselves to actually understand how much we're aligned. We have the most important parts of us. We have done so much work on ourselves, working and helping other people, that we understood the benefit of knowing what you want. That's one of the things we do in Have You Met You, is we will get you to understand what it is you really, really want in your life, what you don't want in your life, and what you're willing to come and maybe compromise with someone else on, because no one's going to be absolutely perfect.
No one is perfect, and that's a good note. That's a good note to end on, because it's absolutely true. No one is perfect. Yet, First impressions matter, but what you're telling us and what we all know if we're beginning to awaken to our own
Yes.
power is that take the time to get to know people, because that first impression matters, but you have to go deeper. Elizabeth, the time goes here. You must come back again. Thank you for all of the wisdom, the knowledge, and the love that you shared with us. My engineer is going to put you in the green room, and I'm going to be with you in just a second. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
The time flies here. It really does. Every featured guest speaker that I bring here, male or female or woman, it goes on because there's so much information to share with you. And friends, this is a time that we're in a period of deep awakening and love, and the power of that and the balance of that, finding it for each and every one of us is the role that we're playing in this movie. I like that. Be and stay well. Make this one of the best weeks ever. Make sure that you connect with Elizabeth and Dr. Monica, because the work that they're doing is exceptional, and their title, I love it, and so will you. All the best, and I send you always from my heart to yours. Much, much love. Be and stay well. Cheers.